A Mohawk beadworker's beautiful amulet bags reflect a tradition many people believe is European in origin, but she's convinced the items derive from Native American customs. Terrell Hooper O'Brien of Annandale, Virginia, spent the first 6 years of her life on the Akwesasne Reservation on the border of the U.S. and Canada. We shine the spotlight on this talented artisan who recently exhibited her bags on the grounds of the Fenimore Art Museum in Cooperstown, New York. How important are the traditions of your people to you?
It was important because it gives you roots, it gives you beliefs, it gives you everyday things to live by that somehow as a child you don't realize you're learning, but you are.
Who taught you to make beadwork?
My first experience with trying beadwork was I had an uncle named Philip Cook who very patiently allowed me to pester him and his friend Ray Fadden while they were working. And they would give me beads and thread and a loom and let me do whatever I could do. I did pitifully poor work, but I was probably only about 8 or 9 years old. From that age, I really liked beadwork. I started doing some after I was married, and we lived away. My husband was military, so we lived in 11 states in 20 years. And it gave me doing it now and then would give me a connection to home that I just would not otherwise have living in Texas or Arizona or Colorado or somewhere that was totally different from where I was from.
What kind of beadwork do you do?
I do almost exclusively beaded amulet bags. They are done with a peyote stitch, which is traditionally a ceremonial stitch for maybe fans or things with a shape to them. In this case, I like to think, and I have been doing research trying to find the origin of these amulet bags. Some people believe it was Europe, but I believe they came here from the States to Queen Victoria, who then got copied in Europe. And so I have been spending as much time as I can looking at different places to see just where they started. I can see a connection from 250 years ago with various different shapes, different tribes, different sizes, and some of them have in the late 1800s got to be very close to what I do now.
Terrell passed on her enthusiasm for beadwork to 3 of her sisters and helped get them started making and exhibiting their own amulet bags.
For my sisters, I am so excited when they try something new, when something they've done, the right colors, the right shape, the right pattern, comes right into place and it's outstanding. I am totally excited about that.
American Indian art curator Ava Fognell of the Fenimore Art Museum says the galleries have a collection of exquisitely beaded traditional and contemporary Iroquois bags.
Beadwork became a very important way of income for Native women, especially starting around the mid-1850s, 1800s, when tourism picked up. And in places such as Niagara Falls, local women would make beaded purses, which of course they had made for themselves and for their own use before, but now went to even greater extent of applying more beads on them, and it was a way of selling something to the tourism. So it was a way for women to enter into a cash economy and forge out a new way of income and way of supporting their family.
Would you say your work is traditional or does it stray from tradition?
I think my work is a very early traditional with a modern twist. And I think what it does is allow us to wear a necklace basically with a purpose to it, a necklace that was popular 200 years ago that we can wear now and be stylish.
Terrell's sister, Robin Miller, says the bags are designed for spiritual healing.
So they're designed to put something that's near and dear to your heart in them. We had one lady who told us that she had 7 grandchildren, and she always got these little tiny pictures of them that weren't a charm bracelet picture, but they weren't a wallet picture, and she never knew what to do with them. So she bought a bag and said, I'm going to put my grandchildren in there, and I will always have them close to me. Another lady came to us and bought a bag and said that her son was going to Iraq, and she put a lock of his hair in the bag. So it was very spiritual for them. And I think the most touching thing I've ever had happen to me is I had a lady from New York ask me to make her a bag, And I agreed. She told me what she wanted, the design type of thing, and I said, yeah, I can do that. That's not a problem. And then she told me she wanted it because her child had died, and she had a little tiny urn with some of the ashes in it, and she wanted to keep her close to her heart. So that was like we were bawling in the booth. You know, that was very, very, very touching. And those are the kind of things that we find out that people put in them.
Mountain Lake PBS is producing the Native American Artistry Series in cooperation with the New York State Historical Association's Fenimore Art Museum in Cooperstown, New York. This project is also a partnership with the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services. Spotlight segments are funded in part by the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation, dedicated to improving the quality of life for year-round residents of the Adirondack Park.